good. And my bun is good too. I have it in a bit of a scrunchie right now.
So, here we are with episode 4. It's exciting. And we thought we would talk about scheduling.
Scheduling.
Beep, beep. How long every single episode does it take us to actually schedule a time to sit down, do you think?
I would say roughly anywhere between like 4 and 7 days.
Oh, yeah. And it's usually like you or I cancel at least 3 times before we like actually set it go.
Scheduling projects and scheduling it around or with the rest of your life is just I feel like my head spins more often than it's like feels like it's on the top half of me.
Oh yeah. I agree with that, and I also think it's so funny because I, as a producer, have to schedule other people, and that is just it's its own nightmare in itself. On top of scheduling my own life.
Do you ever feel like you're on top of it?
I think I'm really good at looking like I'm on top of it. People say that I have my shit together, but they actually have no idea what's going on inside my brain. So.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. But I go crazy a little bit sometimes with scheduling all the projects that I'm working on and just trying to dedicate as much as I can to every single one because I'm like, every single project deserves all of my time, but I can't give it.
But how do you approach your scheduling? Like, how do you look at all of your projects and go, okay, I'm going to give you this time, or when do you schedule it? Like, for example, if you're working 2 days in a row, I mean, do you still try and put something in between in those 2 days, or you're like, okay, for the next 2 days, unfortunately, I have to side hustle and do this, or how do you usually work about it?
When I moved to Toronto, I was very clear about my idea of working, that I decided in my mind, maybe never out loud, but that I would never let a job get in the way of my art. Like, if I was ever at a point where I was working a job that was, like, so soul-crushing I couldn't create, or I was working a job that was so unflexible that I didn't have time to do a project, or, like, I had to cancel a gig because of my work, then I wouldn't be working that job. And which is why I spent so long finding a job, and I've been finally working at one place for almost 2 years now, because I have that mindset. Whenever there's something that comes up, like if I have an audition that comes up but I'm supposed to work, I make it my goal to get out of work. Like, I will not take no for an answer. When it comes to creative projects, it's totally different. I think it's just knowing deadlines really helps with that, at least. Like, I know this vlog thing we're doing is not really a deadline, but I also know it's very important to both of us. I won't air it out. I won't air out the laundry of this project for longer than a week without checking in on you and being like, hey, where are you at? Like, let's chat.
That seems really valuable to me, is that you're able to just say, okay, it's not going to be on that project right now. Okay, then I can focus on something else. And I think do you find that when you're wearing your many a hat, do you find, like, do you ever feel so overwhelmed that you're just like, maybe I have too much on my plate?
I have a lot of anxiety. That I think that anxiety. I mean, the purpose of anxiety is to actually like stop your body from going into panic, right? So like it's like a healthy thing, I guess, in its own sense, in its own twisted way. I don't really know how I do it. I sometimes look back on things that I do and I go, how did I do what? How did I do that? I don't know. Yeah. I'm very lucky that I have a father who financially supports me, so I don't have to worry as much about money. Like, I have to work to pay rent, but I don't have to ever be like, okay, every single dollar that I'm making goes towards everything I'm doing. So I'm very lucky in that aspect, which I know a lot of people don't have. So because of that, I'm able to manage my time a little better because I'm not so focused on making money. Which is obviously not the same for everyone. But, yeah, I think it's just kind of like being aware of everything and the time constraints, but also knowing that sometimes, like we said in our last episode, like you have to say no if it's not going to work out and it's not going to be for the betterment of both sides of the project, you and also the creator. Like it just sometimes you have to say no.
I feel like I'm sort of in the beginning stages of learning how to say no. Also, incorporating the patience, which I certainly don't have. I hope that what I can schedule in and find time for is enjoying the process of all of this and enjoying the process of artistry and enjoying the writing. And I don't think I incorporate that into my scheduling. And I mean, I don't need to map it out and be like, I'm going to wake up and have coffee and then 15 minutes I need to incorporate enjoying life. It's like you adapt to your surroundings and you adapt to feeling that everything is going to actually be okay.
Right. So what about you then with scheduling everything? Like, so you had 2 jobs at one point and you were trying to like converse with me as well as like doing some film shoots. Like, how do you find a way to deal with it for yourself?
I take everything that's on my plate at the moment. So for example, I don't have as many projects as you, for example, on the go. So the projects that I do have, I sort of find that planning as far in advance, and not too far, but far enough that I've created that schedule for myself. So if I'm going to be on a 3-day shoot, I know I've got X amount of time to prepare for the shoot. So that's my focus. Right. So I guess it's when I'm working on something that becomes my main focus. And like you were mentioning earlier, and then work is just secondary. When I'm working on something, it naturally just falls into place for me. So I wake up and I'm like, oh right, I can write today because I've got this project on the go, or not, or I could just wake up one day and be like, I feel like writing, so I'm going to write and make sure that I get those hours in. So I think when I've got something a little bit more concrete, there's a bit more of a schedule, whereas I'm a little bit more, I guess, fluid if I don't have a project on the go, but I always try to put something in my schedule that's artistic.
We're also very positive when we talk in here, but we also forget that like we're also people as well. Like I think last month I got offered this theater contract that I'm working on, and I was just like so anxious that I couldn't eat. Like I went out for dinner with my friend. I hadn't eaten since noon. It was 7:00, and I just like felt so nauseous because I was so anxious about scheduling everything properly. So I think also being aware that that's also human to do. Like if you freak out about scheduling and you're like, I can't do all this, that's okay. Like let yourself feel those feelings so that you can go through that emotion. You're not suppressing it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's also totally okay. Like don't think, I just don't want people watching this thinking like, oh, these two humans have everything together. Like we definitely don't.
This is sort of the proof in the pudding that it's not perfect. It's not always going to have this perfect fluidity to it, and you're going to have the ebbs and flows, but it's getting used to those ebbs and flows. Yeah. That for somebody like me personally, I've always been used to structure, or everything seems to have to go according to plan, because if it doesn't go according to plan, there's a reason for that. And what's that reason? I don't know what the answer is, and then that just freaks me out too. So I'm learning to kind of just go with it and be confident with when it doesn't work out, or when the scheduling doesn't happen, or if there's a mishap. It's actually okay.
Yeah. There you go.
But here I am, but it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big part of it, right? Is like I'm this whole podcast for myself, these episodes that I film as well is so I can even look back and see myself saying what I would tell other people, but I can't seem to accept for myself.
Of course, because we're always better at giving advice to other people, right? Like we can't give our own, we can't take our own advice. So if you out there have a story about scheduling that you want to share with us, let us know. We'll talk about it. We'll bring you into the conversation, because that's what this whole thing's about.
Yes, and the crazier the better. It doesn't matter what it is. If you were like losing your mind for 3 days and you were like, I don't know, it's because of this, then please write us, because I will tell you next episode about the time that I bawled my eyes out for 24 hours after a desk broke.
Let's all have a piece of cake and call it a day.
Enjoy your piece of cake, everybody.
Yeah, enjoy it, and enjoy it on behalf of us.
On behalf of us. See you next time.
Bye!
Bye.
You are so special. Maybe you don't think so. If we both took a moment to listen to one another, then maybe we could know what we both know. You, me, and us. You, me, and us.
Ooh, your bun.
My
You got a bun and a scrunchie.
I got
So
a bun
good.
and a scrunchie, and I feel so
Great.
cool in my shawl.
Yeah. And sometimes a desk just breaks, right?
And sometimes a desk just breaks.